Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Maverick News channel. Again, we have a lot on tap tonight. A stacked show. And right off the top, I have to say that I'm editorializing, offering an opinion, an emotional response. I'm happy because all vaccine mandates in Florida are being eliminated. All vaccine mandates in Florida, all of them. We'll tell you about that. Also, Pierre Poilievre today came out with a phrase that is still stuck in my head. Generation screwed, referring to the economy, while at the same time announcing that if elected, he would bring an end to the temporary foreign worker program in Canada and calling on Prime Minister Carney to get rid of it. We'll tell you about that. The Epstein survivors. Yesterday, thousands of pages released from the Epstein files. A lot of speculation, a lot of people saying there's still a lot more out there. Of course, I haven't read all of the pages because there are thousands of them and people online are scouring through them. But today there was a news conference, Epstein survivors speaking out. So again, for Trump, this is the story that just won't go away. Plus, Alex Jones chaos as Owen Shroyer quits. We'll talk about it. I don't know if it's news or entertainment or something else, but it's making headlines. So we'll touch on it. And what else do I have on my list here as I look off to the side on my notes? Home invasions. A police chief is saying that people should just comply. We'll talk about that as well. And then we have something a little bit unusual at the end of the broadcast for you tonight. So with that, stay with me. We'll start to unpack all of today's top news stories when we come back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so as we continue to make changes to our platform and our live streaming systems, I see that the changes we've made have had an impact again on the new Maverick News Network channel 3 on Rumble. So I'm going to take another brief break. It's going to give me an opportunity maybe to fix that for people waiting over there. to watch on the new channel. So just give me one moment, and then we'll come back and get right into it.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I'm back. Let me just close that. You don't know what I'm doing, but I do. There, I need to get rid of that. Now I'm back to normal. I don't know if we're running on the new channel or not, but I'll check it. Probably not. It may not run tonight. That's okay. We'll fix it for tomorrow. It's just a more complicated system. So I appreciate your patience as we try to make these things work. First up tonight, Florida mandates for vaccines, all of them being the state is planning to cancel all of its vaccine mandates, many of which require children to get jabs against diseases like polio in order to attend public schools. So the state's top health official, the Florida Surgeon General, Joseph Ladapo, likened the mandates to slavery in announcing this today. But it is, I would say, a victory for people who are in favor of freedom of choice. As I look back at what happened during the pandemic, that was, for me, that was personally one of the main issues. In fact, it was the first thing that popped into mind when the pandemic first became an issue, when people weren't sure what was going to happen, but we knew that there was this virus out there. And I remember having long discussions with people about this very issue. Should people be forced to receive a vaccination? And my position from the very beginning was no. And I could not believe, honestly, that people were taking the other side. But you saw how it went. And now the Surgeon General for Florida has announced that all vaccines are going to be eliminated. Every single last one. Let me run the clip for you here. This was the announcement earlier today.
What I'm most excited about is an announcement that we're going to make, that we're making now, which is that the Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Yeah. Every last one of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery. Okay? Who am I as a government, or anyone else, or who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body? Who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. What you put into your body is because of your relationship with your body and your God. I don't have that right. Government does not have that right. They want you to believe they have that right. And unfortunately, they've been successful.
Yeah, and it's an issue also of risk, because in my view, if there is any personal risk of injury of any kind, or maybe even death, you should not be forced to take that risk. That should then be a personal choice. If you could say that something is 100% for sure safe, that it doesn't matter what you do with something, that it will never, ever, 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 not even one time, ever harm someone. Maybe you could have a discussion about mandating or coercing someone into putting something into their body. But even then, I think that it still should come down to a matter of personal choice. Now, you could place other restrictions, maybe, on people. But we saw during the pandemic that the mandates requiring people to do certain things, like get the jabberoonie, it really ended up crossing the line, because they were taking people's really constitutional, God-given rights, if you want to look at it that way, regardless of your denomination and what kind of God you worship. But just taking people's rights away. Can't travel on a plane. Can't travel on a train. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's a complicated issue, right? But they weren't restricting people's movements because you were sick. They were restricting your movements because you didn't get an injection. We could get into the weeds on this really easy tonight, or any night, because the issue has layers of complexity to it. But really, for me, this announcement, for me personally, this is in alignment with my views on that issue. And given what we went through during the pandemic, I feel fully justified in sharing my opinion on it here tonight on the Maverick News program with you. And I suspect a large percentage of our viewers here, you guys, I expect, probably believe or share that view as well. Others may strongly disagree, although the opinions on it, I think, are shifting back more toward personal choice and freedom of choice. We'll see how it plays out. It hasn't happened yet, but it's in the works, and they are going to clear it off of the books so that in Florida, no more vaccine mandates of any kind is what we're being told tonight. So let's just going to check a couple of points on this here. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all vaccines are bad or that people shouldn't get vaccinated. I'm saying that everyone should have the right to the proper information. Informed consent is important. Everyone should be made aware of risks, have access to that information and the benefits, and then make your own personal decision on that. but we've seen how it has torn society apart. All right, so I guess RFK Jr. is being targeted and is ready. I guess the over at the CDC, so they're going to have some hearings over there because of all the chaos, the turmoil over there. So they're going to put him on the hot seat in the days ahead as well. I can't remember what day that's happening, but that's all related to this too. So when we get more information on that, we'll share it with you. But big shakeup over there at the CDC. And now we move on here to the Epstein saga, which continues tonight through the day today. Thousands and thousands of pages of documents released yesterday, late yesterday, into the Epstein files, made public. On our Twitter account, if you want to see them, I did post a link there last night, so you can go click on that and you can download every single last page that was released by the government yesterday, by the authorities, and you can sift through them. But there are thousands, and you have millions of people going through all of that stuff, searching for whatever might be in there. Today, though, big news conference. We had, some very prominent politicians fronting it, including Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking there today. And this was a news conference with some of what they're saying are Epstein's victims, quite a number of women. And we have some of the clips lined up here for you from today's newser. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol
documents,
on the House
she's got
floor,
more coming.
and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it. Now, another thing, this is not about politics. And this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said, there's become two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster. It shouldn't exist anymore, and people are sick of it. So let's recognize the fact that the administration before, and the one before it, and the one before it, and the one before it, and before it, never did anything about this. So this isn't one political party or the other. It's a culmination of everyone worked together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal. And this is not just rich, powerful people. Think his drivers, his maids, his chefs, all the people, people that worked in his home, security guards. I heard one story from a young woman that was being raped by Jeffrey Epstein when he was out on work release while he was serving time in prison, and had an ankle monitor on his leg. Guess what? There was a police officer outside that door. So this list of names is quite a list of names, and it doesn't extend just in the rich, powerful circles. It extends down to the very bottom where people were paid. And again, I will say this, there's victims suffering today in similar circumstances, and they're terrified to name the names of the people that are currently abusing them. And so with these brave, courageous women fighting this fight, this is a fight for women and children and any person that is facing sexual abuse and rape and captivity and human trafficking right now. And so here's what I ask you in the press. Don't go for salacious headlines. Go for the truth and defend these women and help those of us in Congress that are crossing our political party lines for doing the right thing and trying to do it together.
She says it's not about, it's about politics. Yeah, it's inevitably about politics because the politics runs all through this because you seem to have a lot of politicians who have been involved in one way or another in whatever it is that happened or may not have happened, as these allegations have not been proven in a court of law. Well, some of them have. Well, I shouldn't even be laughing, but it's just absurd.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. The names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, this is not over. Not even close. Not even close. And heavy duty emotions. This was actually, I believe, yesterday. This was yesterday. As there were meetings going on. I'm not going to run this because I don't know the full context of the clip. So I'll stick to what happened here today. So we also have Marina Lacerda, and this is another woman who came forward today to share her story. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Okay, again, this is Marina Lacerda. Here.
My name is Marina Lacerda. I was minor victim 1 in federal indictment of Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2019. I was one of dozens of girls that I personally know who were forced into Jeffrey's mansion on 9 East 71 Street in New York City when we were just kids. Today is the first time that I ever speak publicly about what happened to me. I never thought that I would find myself here. The only reason that I am here is because it feels like the people who matter in this country finally care about what we have to say. As an immigrant from Brazil, I feel empowered knowing that the little girl struggling to get by at 14 and 15 years old finally has a voice. For the first time, I feel like I matter as an American. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom and my sister when a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me that I could make $300 to give an older guy a massage. It went from a dream job to the worst nightmare. Jeffrey assistant Leslie Groff would call me and tell me that I needed to be at the house so often that I ended up dropping out of high school before 9th grade. And I never went back. From 14 to 17 years old, I went and worked for Jeffrey instead of receiving an education. Every day I hoped that he would offer me a real job as one of his assistants or something something important, I would finally have made it big, as, like we say, the American dream. That day never came. I had no way out. I was, until he finally told me that I was too old. There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself, but it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part is that the government is still in possession right now of the documents and information about that could help me remember and get over all of this maybe and help me heal. They have documents with my name on them that were confiscated from Jeffrey Epstein's house and could help me put the pieces of my own life back together. But I don't have any of it. And I know the same is true for many of these women. We are here to support this bill today, not only for transparency, but for the American people. But if the government is going to release these documents to the public, describing the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and others, the least that they can do is give me my documents that they have about me. The other survivors deserve the same respect from our government. While our identifying information must be redacted to the public, it is equally important to provide the victims themselves with unredacted information. I will never forget when the FBI agent showed up in my door in 2008. Jeffrey Epstein hired a lawyer to represent me, or more like to represent him, I'd like to say. I couldn't ask any questions, and I had no idea what was going on. I was terrified. Until today, I think most of us are still terrified. I thought somebody was going to kill me. I thought something was going to happen to my sister or my mother. It went further out to even maybe thinking something would happen in Brazil with my family. And then one day, the lawyer said that everything was just gonna go away. Like nothing happened. I didn't need to testify. When I asked him why, he gave no explanation. That was it. So why? Why was I never called to testify then? We could have saved so many women. We could have saved so many lives from being abused. Why did he get away with it in 2008? Why was he able to go on in the abuse with hundreds of girls after the Florida investigation? Why didn't they let me testify to help stop him? Our government could have saved so many women, but Jeffrey Epstein was too important and those women didn't matter. Why? Well, we matter now. We are here today and we are speaking and we are not going to stop speaking. Today, I stand here with the women who have really helped me to find the strength to come out and come forward to share my story for the very first time. Together, we are stronger than ever. While she may not be with us, Virginia Roberts, we will continue to use our voices to strengthen yours always.
So, yeah, they're using their voices to put pressure on Congress to push through that bill so that everything is released. And it continued today with this.
For me, the turning point was when I had my daughter. And on the day she was born, I knew I had a responsibility to protect her and to protect all children. I have to use my voice, the voice that had been silenced by fear and shame for so many years. Make no mistake, My polished exterior is a shield hiding a wound that still bleeds. And to be clear, the only motive for opposing this bill would be to conceal wrongdoing. You have a choice. Stand with the truth, or with the lies that have protected predators for decades.
Us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved.
We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it. We are done. We're not going to be silenced, and I hope that my voice will bring other survivors and other victims to come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder.
And that is what Donald Trump keeps saying, that it's a hoax, it's a hoax, it's a hoax, it's a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax is what he has pivoted to. And yet Trump and the MAGA team, especially, during the election, in between as well, making the most of the Epstein scandal, targeting Democrats with it, using it as a political tool. You can go back and find all kinds of speeches made from Donald Trump Jr. to Charlie Kirk and everything in between, even Alex Jones. And now Trump is saying it's a hoax, it's a hoax, it's a Democrat hoax.
Who's speaking, as you mentioned, is the president, asked about the Epstein case in the Oval Office again today. He called it a Democratic hoax. Let's listen first.
It's really a Democrat hoax. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about, because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. Know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough.
So, Hallie, some of the survivors had said they were offended that the president has repeatedly called this scandal a hoax. How is the White House navigating all of this?
So the White House is looking at this push that is being conducted by this sort of rare alliance that you're seeing on Capitol Hill between MAGA allies and Trump foes coming together here to try to back this. It's called the discharge petition, not to get in the weeds. And the White House does not back this effort. In fact, a White House official said that helping, they say, Thomas Massie, the Republican involved here, and liberal Democrats with their attention seeking would be viewed as a very hostile act to the administration. Very hostile act. This is something that some of the members were asked about today. Now, the White House has said that it does support the work that the House Oversight Committee is doing. This is a parallel push that House leadership also says renders the Massie effort moot, essentially. That basically it's redundant. There's already a move by the House Oversight Committee to try to get the release of more documents. And as you noted in the beginning of this discussion, Zinkley and Kate, they did release just late yesterday some 30,000 plus pages of material, although the vast majority of it, Democrats say, is not new information.
Okay. So, again, story that just won't go away. I've also taken note that Rick Wilson over at the Lincoln Project, through his Substack and other social media platforms, has been releasing interviews that he personally is doing, in-depth interviews with some of the victims of the Epstein scandal, with some of these women. I have listened to 2 of them. And if you want to take note of that yourself and check it out, again, it's Rick Wilson at the Lincoln Project. And you can find him on various social media platforms. I think he's been banned on X, the free speech platform. Oh, yeah. Again, I'm laughing, not because it's funny, but because it is absurd.
Poser. Definition.
Oops, hang on. Wrong one. I want to run this.
protect the victims. And also Donald Trump. Coincidence? Just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DOJ, while the truth just fades away. Another news spin. No one will win except the rich guys with gold ID cards and closets full of secrets behind steel bars. Just a little glitch. A billionaire's privilege. That's the sound of the case. Closed.
And we'll move on for now to our next top news story of tonight, which involves Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, returned to Parliament after winning the by-election, and tonight calling on the federal government to end the temporary foreign workers program. Says if elected, that's what he would do. This announcement, curiously, being made, as I have noted and noticed, a huge increase in anti-immigrant, pro-deportation videos online, social media. I find it very coincidental. Do you believe in coincidences? Well, here he is talking about his position on this issue, which the Conservatives are now grabbing a hold of: immigration, telling you that immigrants are taking your jobs and the jobs of young people and Canadians, and that the temporary foreign worker program has got to go.
Hardworking people who cannot get jobs here in Canada. And let's be honest, young people today form what I call Generation Screwed. Let's look at the situation for this generation. It is the first generation that cannot afford a home in Canadian history. And now, the double gut punch. They have the...
It's never been easy to buy a home. But yeah, it is extremely difficult right now because of the cost of real estate increasing the way that it has, certainly since the pandemic. You know, the cost of homes, single family units in particular, really escalating, in some cases doubling, coming down in some markets actually. And yeah, inflation is certainly a big issue.
Highest, the worst employment numbers of any group of young people since the late 1990s. So you can't get a job, and even if you did have a job, you can never buy a home after 10 years of Liberal government. The Liberals doubled housing costs. They unleashed crime and chaos in our communities with their soft laws. They broke our immigration system by allowing too many, too fast, too easily to come into the country, and they have destroyed our economy by pushing investment out of our country. Now, Mark Carney promised that he would be different.
I don't think it's destroyed. Mr. Pessimism here, or should I call him Mr. Optimistic? I don't know. He's just in that position where he has to be the critic, and so he's relegated to that role. But I have to say, forgive me, it's just wearing on me. It's like, do you have anything positive to say, Pierre? Anything? Or should we just all go slit our wrists right now?
He has been worse than Justin Trudeau in almost every objective measurement. Let's go through the promises. He promised to build, baby, build. Well, far from doubling home building as he promised, home building is expected to drop by 13%, according to his own housing agency. As for major national projects, 5 months in, and there's not a single national project that Mr. Carney has even identified, much less permitted, much less having shovels in the ground. Not one pipeline, not one mine, not one major expansion of a port. All we have is meetings, offices, new bureaucracies, new high-paid big shots with big salaries who have thus far achieved absolutely nothing. Crime continues to rage on our streets, with Mr. Carney keeping in place all of the catch-and-release Liberal laws. And Mr. Carney has kept all of Justin Trudeau's immigration numbers, which means the system gets worse and worse and worse. The time has come for decisive action. We have major problems in our job market. Let's look at the facts here. The unemployment rate for those aged 15 to 24 is now 14.6%. The employment rate, the share of young people who are employed, is at its lowest level in over a quarter century outside of the pandemic. 1.6 million Canadians were unemployed in July, 7.4% increase in unemployment insurance requests since Mr. Carney took office. Almost 400,000 Canadians have been continually searching for work for over 2 years, the highest share of long-term unemployment since 1998. There are 16,000 more people unemployed in Ontario than there were in the Great Recession. Ontario has seen a massive increase in job losses and a massive decrease in home building. Nearly 75% of temporary foreign workers that come into the country are for low-wage positions, which means they compete with working class and young people that ultimately drive down wages and drive away jobs. Tim Hortons has hired an unimaginable 1,131% more temporary foreign workers in the last 4 years. In the first half of this year alone, the TFW program has imported 74% more low-skilled labor than in all of 2015. TFWs, the number of temporary foreign workers, is now 2% of our overall workforce, and a staggering number, an unprecedented number. Now, the Liberals promised they would cap the temporary foreign worker program at 82,000, but in the first 6 months, they've already handed out 105,000 permits. To put this into perspective, if they do the same number of permits for temporary foreign workers in the next 6 months that they did in the last, they will break the record again with over 200,000 temporary foreign workers coming in to take jobs when our own young people are facing record unemployment. The Liberals have to answer, why is it that they're shutting our own youth out of jobs and replacing them with low-wage temporary foreign workers from poor countries who are ultimately being exploited? And let us say as well, the people, the individual temporary foreign workers, the workers themselves, they are not bad people. They are not the problem. They are being taken advantage of by Liberal corporate elites who want to use them to drive down wages. And of course, we continue to support the dream of all immigrants to Canada, immigrants who come here to be Canadian, to get a job, work hard, contribute, and live a good life. That is part of the Canadian promise, and that is not what we're addressing here today. We're addressing a program that temporarily brings people from low-wage countries to replace Canadians and drive down the wages of our people. The time has come for decisive action to stop the Liberals from using our immigration system to pad the pockets of corporate elites and other insiders at the expense of Canadian jobs. Again, the principle is very simple. The principle is very simple. Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Canada first, Canada always. That's why Conservatives are calling on the Carney government to permanently scrap the temporary foreign worker program and to stop issuing visas for any new temporary foreign workers coming into the country. Under this proposal, existing permits would be wound down until the program is entirely eliminated. Canadian jobs will go to Canadian workers first. It's time that Mr. Carney took the job seriously of repairing the damage that his party has done. Unfortunately, the immigration minister who destroyed the program and caused this mess is now Mark Carney's Justice Minister. You can believe it. He's now gone from creating a housing crisis as housing minister, an immigration crisis as immigration minister, to creating a crime crisis as Justice Minister. It's the same Liberal team with the same Liberal results, just a different face who's even worse than the last one. July's employment data has confirmed that what Mr. Carney's economy is doing to our youth 14.6% unemployment, 1.6 million Canadians unemployed. According to CIBC, that the levels of employment are normally what you would see in a, quote, a recessionary period. Yet the Liberals are still bringing in the workers from abroad to take jobs from people here at home, and they are driving down wages. Nearly 3/4 of the temporary foreign workers in Canada do jobs that pay below average wages, which means that they are ultimately taking jobs from the people in Canada that need them most. These workers should not be demonized. They are being taken advantage of, nor do we have a problem with immigrants who come here to build a family and start a life, pay their taxes, follow the rules, and integrate into the Canadian way of life. That should be the goal. But that is entirely different from what the Liberals are doing. Mark Carney is a self-described global elite, and he and his global elite friends believe in mass immigration that gives more power to corporate elites like him and less wages to the Canadian people. They win, the Liberal elites win and Canadian workers lose. But we can fix the problem. We're here with a solution. We want Canadian workers to have Canadian jobs. We want to bring back high wages. Our purpose for the fall session is stronger take-home pay with lower taxes, debt, and inflation, and by bringing jobs back to the Canadian people. Second, safer streets by locking up the criminals that Liberals have turned loose. Third, secure borders by hitting the brakes on immigration and reversing the damage Liberals have done. And fourth, a self-reliant Canada by removing Liberal taxes and red tape to bring home massive projects that will make us less reliant on the rest of the world. Stronger take-home pay, safer streets, secure borders, a self-reliant Canada. We're here to work with any party, and I'm encouraging Liberals, again, steal my ideas. These ideas are open source. We want every Canadian to have a chance to have a great job that buys them a beautiful life and a wonderful home on a safe street. That is our mission. We will work with anyone to do it, and as I'm demonstrating here today with the help of our incredible team, Michelle Rempel and Garnet Jenis, that we have proposals to fix the problems Liberals have met, to bring home the hopeful future for our country that our youth and all Canadians deserve. Thank you very much.
Stick with it for a moment.
Hi, David Lau at CBC. I wanted to ask about temporary foreign workers. What have business leaders told you about why they felt that they needed TFWs, and why do you believe they can now do without these workers and still stay in business without raising prices?
Well, in most cases, I don't think they do need temporary foreign workers. I think they hire them because they can pay them less. And it's that simple. They don't want to pay the prevailing wage to the Canadian worker. And so they hire someone from abroad who might be in a desperate situation and willing to take less. And we see it again. Michelle Rempel has been tweeting out these job postings. I think it was it Booster Juice, the one you came out with yesterday? $36 an hour. They're Booster Juice offering $36 an hour to a temporary foreign worker. They specifically say they want it to be a temporary foreign worker. Why aren't they offering those jobs to Canadian kids first?
Some truth in there. Also, glossing over some of the realities. The temporary foreign worker program has various streams to it. There's a top tier stream for very specialized workers who demand, they can demand high wages because they're very skilled. So they'll bring in temporary foreign workers to fill jobs that employers cannot fill with really highly skilled, specialized personnel. So they'll have to go abroad to find, some really highly educated, highly skilled people to fill those jobs. Then, there are various other tiers, streams, and one of the streams is like for agriculture. And I just know, because I've covered so much so many agricultural stories because I'm surrounded by farmland here. And through my career as a journalist, a lot of time spent out on farms. Farmers, they hire temporary foreign workers to come in during the the farming season to plant the crops and to help harvest the crops, especially on the farms around here where they grow vegetables, where they need to harvest and pack and get the stuff out to market. Apple orchards down by Lake Erie, they hire a lot of temporary foreign workers, and that's because they just can't convince people who just normally live here to go out and take those jobs. In some cases, they do. Even the greenhouses around here, we have a lot of greenhouses, they hire some temporary foreign workers. And during the pandemic, if you think back, there were exemptions made for cross-border travel for, you guessed it, temporary foreign workers to come in and work in agriculture here in Canada. And yes, they do work for low wages. So what Pierre Poilievre is really setting up here, if he actually follows through with it, what will happen is, first of all, farmers will be very upset because they probably will have a lot of trouble finding the help they need on their farms. And there's a long history. It goes back as long from times before I was ever born, with immigrants coming to this area to work on farms. We did that story about 6 months ago about Japanese Canadians who were rounded up during World War II because of suspicions about being spies. And a lot of them ended up here working on farms. That's just kind of a sidebar, but it just highlights why, like, the history of using immigrants to get the crops off every year. And so what Poilievre is setting up here is he's setting up a confrontation with farmers because they'll have difficulty getting people to come to work on the farms. It may cause some real stresses in the supply chain, food supply chain. It will, as a result, because you're going to have less labor, it will result in some higher wages being paid on farms. And you know what that means? You're going to end up paying more for food at the supermarket because that will result in inflation. So you're used to going to the supermarket to buy, like I got a 10-pound bag of potatoes on sale for $1.99. Now that was 2 weeks ago, I believe I told you about that here. We're going to go shopping maybe tomorrow or a day this week, and we'll do a little shopping spree to give you a taste of what the prices are like at the supermarkets. But $1.99, that's extremely efficient when you stop and think about it. $1.99 Canadian. But that's largely because farm workers work for very low wages. That being said, they have to meet safety standards, certain wage requirements in order to even hire these temporary foreign workers. So I'm just saying it is not as simple and cut and dried as maybe you're thinking that it is here. This, to me, is something with Poilievre. This is something of a red herring where they're setting this issue up where they're saying, we're going to get rid of this temporary foreign worker program. I don't think he's really being completely transparent, or I think he's maybe double speaking on some of this stuff, because I can't see him getting into office and he might get rid of this, but he'll have to do something different. That's likely what would end up happening. And the reason he's doing it right now is because there is this big push on to use immigration. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about. There's just so much on social media right now talking about immigration, and it's all seems to be coming together right now this time in September as like the issue to kind of get people emotional and drive everything forward to cause disruption in the system. And I find it really, really coincidental that Poilievre is making this announcement today while we've seen this big ramp up in social media rhetoric coinciding with what's going on in the States. I think maybe taking advantage of what's going on in the States with ICE and the deportations, and the people on that side of the political spectrum who like that and are applauding it and think that that's a great thing. And on the Canadian side now, as we get into this September, the September burn, political burn, I think back, it's got to be something. It's just the latest thing for people to get upset about. What was it about a year ago? Oh, yes, save the children. It was like, save the children. Everybody was upset about save the children. And what was the Sound of Freedom movie came out, and all of this stuff came together at exactly the same time. That there's no way this stuff is accidental or organic. This is a campaign. Now, I don't know. It's hard to say who's really behind it and coordinating it and who's just latching onto it and exploiting it. But the Conservatives right now, abso-freaking-lutely benefiting from this, using it, latching onto it. I'm seeing many Conservative MPs, politicians in Canada posting about the immigration issue. They're using it. They're using it to drive their narrative. That's their hot button issue right now. And it is an issue that really gets people jacked up, upset. And we have people on both sides. And in particular, it's all this sort of anti-Muslim rhetoric that we're hearing. And it's really latching on to the anger. And so on the one side, you have people who are really fearful. I mean, we literally showed the video the other day of, what's her name? Valentina Gomez, the U.S. politician, the book burner, who took a flamethrower to a Quran. You think that's not getting people jacked up? That gets people on both sides agitated and ready to fight. And now we're seeing people, being called to rise up again this month. Rise up. Head off to the Capitol. Protest. Get out in the streets and do what? Fight. Fight, fight, fight. Everybody's got to fight. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just an observation. You think you're thinking for yourself? You're being fed this information, man. We all are. And it affects us. Some more than others. Let's continue a little bit more with Poilievre. This is a guy who, I don't know. All these politicians, all of them, they speak out of both sides of their mouths, and sometimes they just dance around with their words.
And I'm not now speaking about any particular employer, but we know that there's a lot of abuse in this system where the employers are asking for some of the wage back from their worker. I'm not alleging that for Booster Juice, but it is happening out there. There is
evidence that it has happened in some cases. I don't know what
that has allowed corporate elites to profit off of driving wages down and driving jobs out.
There's some truth,
and we're going to put an end to it. Canadian workers deserve Canadian jobs. Les élites coopératives veulent payer moins de salaire.
Hang on. Let me just pass this. He's going to be asked a question here about Palestine too. I'm going to show you what I mean about him dancing around with words.
So far, Mark Carney has not found a single penny in new savings. While he promised to spend less, in the 5 months he's been Prime Minister, he's increased the cost of the government by 8%. 33% more federal public servants are earning over $100,000 under Mark Carney. He's increased the cost of consultants by 37%. And if you believe economists, they calculate Mark Carney's deficit could be twice as big as Justin Trudeau's, which is unimaginable. No one thought it was possible to have a worse deficit than Trudeau, but Mark Carney appears to have accomplished it. What I would say to everyone is, ignore Mark Carney's speeches, the letters he writes his ministers, which then...
One thing, I do check Poilievre's numbers from time to time, and he tends to be pretty accurate in in the figures he uses. But what I have noticed is he likes to use percentages instead of like straight up numbers or dollar figures. And that's because sometimes you can make things sound much worse than they actually are if you convey that kind of information in terms of percentages. You can look at different ways to present the same information to just really emphasize the negative or the positive. But in his case, it's the negative because he's in opposition.
Get conveniently leaked to the media. It doesn't matter what he says. It matters what he does.
A case in point would be like if you're spending, like you could say it's 100% increase in expenditure, but if the government's spending like literally say $1, and then they spend $2 instead of $1, they spent $1 extra. And that's a 100% increase. I'm just saying that it depends on how you convey the numbers. You can make things seem a lot worse than they were. That's what they were doing with the carbon tax as it related to the price of gasoline at the pump. They were telling people that the increase at the price at the pump was like a percentage, and it sounded like it was a huge amount of money. And I was never in favor of the tax increase, but it just makes it sound that much worse.
And the numbers are very stubborn things. They show that Mark Carney is even more expensive than Justin Trudeau, that the deficit is getting bigger, and that will mean more inflation and more economic ruin for our country. Mark Carney is not a change, he is worse. We need to cut consultants, bureaucracy, corporate welfare, foreign aid, handouts to fraudulent refugees, and other wasted money. We need to bring down the cost of government to bring down the cost of living with lower taxes, inflation, and debt. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Jaspreet from Omni News. Liberal government is intent to recognize Palestine as a state in this fall session. What's your take on it? Are you in favor or do you oppose this?
Mark Carney doesn't know where he stands. He first said he was going to recognize the Hamas state, and then the other day he said that he wasn't recognizing the Hamas state. So he seems very confused on the world stage. He has been so far at best irrelevant and at worst a failure. Our priority here in Canada is standing up for this country and our jobs here at home. That is our focus. We are obviously not going to recognize Hamas as a state. That would be rewarding terrorism. But the focus of our foreign policy is to stand up for Canada and put our country and its interests first on the world stage. Thank you.
He didn't answer the question. Did you notice the way he danced around that question? Very skillful. I mean, he's a very skillful politician, a very skillful orator. He was asked if he would recognize Palestine as an independent state. He pauses, his eyes shift. He like the internal computer is computing. Okay, and what's my canned answer for this? And then he gives it to you, and the answer is Mark Carney can't make up his mind. He doesn't tell you what he's going to do. Then he says, ultimately, the answer on the Palestine question is he doesn't answer. He says, well, we won't recognize Hamas as a state. That wasn't what you were asked. Of course, you're not going to recognize Hamas. We already know that because Hamas is not even being invited to the discussions because it's viewed as a terrorist organization that just happens to be kind of in charge on the Palestinian side. But he never actually answers the question. He puts it all on Carney, then pivots back and says, we won't recognize Hamas, which they view as a terrorist organization, not a state. They just happen to have control in Palestine right now. And everything seems to be predicated, moving forward on Hamas being ejected as having any control or being the government in Palestine if Palestine is ever recognized as an independent state. So he's just like, he's playing a word game there. And then he goes back to, we're Canada first and we're just looking out for our own interests in Canada. Doesn't answer the question. Skillfully so and wisely so, because that's a very polarizing issue. And if he takes a position one way or the other, he's going to lose half his votes one way or the other. That really hurt RFK Jr. when he was running as an independent for the presidency. And he took a position on that issue, and it just divided. It ripped his base because he came out in support of Israel. And especially a lot of the people around him, very anti-Israel and very pro-Palestine. And it just divided his base of support. That's one of the things that was the beginning of the end of his campaign and led finally to the alliance between himself and Donald Trump. Now back to the Canadian side again. And what of Mark Carney? What did he have to say about this today? He was asked about Poilievre calling for an end to the temporary foreign worker program.
Mr. Poilievre called this morning on the government to scrap the temporary foreign worker program. Is it time to shut the program down?
Well, I would say the following, which is that that program has a role. It has to be focused in terms of its role. And it's part of what we're reviewing. It's part of what we will be discussing, how well the temporary foreign worker program is working and how our overall immigration system is working. We've been absolutely clear as a government that we want, and we're putting in place policies so that the overall level of immigration as a proportion of the population will decline from around 7% today to around 5% several years from now. Now, the biggest contributor to immigration is not temporary foreign workers. It's a variety of other factors. And I will say, et je vais répéter en français parce que c'est important, when I talk to businesses around the country, particularly in Quebec, but elsewhere across the country, their number one issue is tariffs, and their number two issue is access to temporary foreign workers. Okay? Et pour le moment, c'est une des grandes demandes du...
So he'll review it, but he's not getting rid of it. And I don't care what Poilievre said today. They're saying get rid of it. They're just trying to capitalize on this immigration issue. I can pretty much guarantee that at the end of the day, if they get rid of it, they'll just bring in something else under a new name and some sort of revised program, because even just on the agricultural side, there is no way that the agricultural lobby will let that stand. They will put so much pressure on the government to bring in some sort of temporary foreign worker relief for them. It's inevitable. And just for decades and decades and decades, do you want to go work on a farm? Be honest. A big part of one of the biggest problems is Canadians have become soft, especially the newer generations. A lot of these kids working on a farm is really, really, really hard work when you're doing the real labor out in the blazing heat in the middle of the summer, and you're out in the fields and you are working there and you're harvesting crops. You ever go to an asparagus farm? I mean, they're out there and they're harvesting by hand, riding on the back of a mechanized unit. They're harvesting the asparagus. Like, it's hard work and you're bent over. A lot of people just don't want to do it. And we have a social safety net program in this country. And I wonder how many of you right now out there are on some sort of government assistance. That's the other issue. When you have people getting government checks every month, huge disincentive to go to work. Why not just sit home, watch soap operas, eat Cheetos, suck back on Diet Coke, put your feet up, and let the temporary foreign workers pick your cheap crops. So you can go to the supermarket and get potatoes, 10-pound bag, for $1.99. Well, if Poilievre gets his way, something might just change. Might have to get up off the couch.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, so the president of Poland in the White House today, meeting with POTUS. Okay, let's go there. And this is, they were going to talk about trade and, of course, the situation in Europe, security, Russia.
Great honor, and we're going to talk about trade. We'll talk about some other things. We'll take a couple of questions from the media.
President Trump, will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Okay.
Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, do you know something I don't? I don't know. We're very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want. But they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have more, not too many, but no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
Thank you.
We saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together. The first time the leaders of those three countries have been together to sort of show solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why
big parade in China, big meeting,
secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against
Shanghai that we talked about last night? That's what they're getting at here.
With regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that, and I was the one that brought it up. I said they're only doing this. They're looking to, when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
China winning World War II.
You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office. Don't you worry that?
How do you know there's no action?
But don't you worry? What actions did you take? I'm with Polish radio.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal. Would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems, and that's what happened. So don't tell me about that.
What is your message to Putin?
Right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released.
Here's this.
Thomas Massey, who is sponsoring a discharge petition to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow walking the release? Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do. All run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about it because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
When are you going to make a decision on Ukraine, Mr. President? What is your message to Putin? Mr. President, your message to Putin?
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Venezuela. Can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy or what you're trying to achieve with the aircraft carriers, or the boats, I should say, in near Venezuela, and also the boat that you mentioned yesterday where 11 people were killed? What was found on that boat, and why were the men killed instead of taken into
On the boat, you had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. There was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. And everybody fully understands that. In fact, you see it. You see the bags of drugs all over the boat. And they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this. We have to protect our country, and we're going to. Venezuela's been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country, many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs, some of the worst people anywhere in the world in terms of gangs. And we had some in Washington, D.C. We took care of them very quickly, but they're out of here. They've gone. But Venezuela's been very bad, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world into our country. They emptied out, you don't know this, but they emptied out their prisons in Venezuela, and they emptied them out into the United States of America. And that's part of the problem we have. We're getting them out. We're getting them out rapidly, but it's caused a tremendous problem. And Pete and all of the people that are working very hard to rectify the stupidity of the Biden administration, allowing these people to pour into our country with open borders. We are paying a big price as a country for the incompetence of the Biden administration. But think of it. Opened up prisons, drug dealers, drug lords, everything coming out of Venezuela. They said, and we said, we're not going to put up with it anymore. So Venezuela has been one of the worst actors in the whole group, and we have a group of pretty bad actors.
Are you wanting to force Maduro on his
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of this month, the government or the Congress has to pass a budget. Do you think we can avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, I do. I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to burn the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good, you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote. These are sick people, and I think we're going to have a tremendous midterm. We just approved the largest tax decrease in the history of our country. We have things, if you think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors, no tax on overtime, deductions when you buy a car and you borrow money to buy a car. First time they've ever seen anything like this. Middle-income people get deductions. You get a deduction when you buy a car. Nobody's ever seen. And by the way, they're selling cars like crazy. Cars are pouring back because of the fact that we have tariffs. Cars are pouring back into our car plants are pouring back into our nation. They're coming from all over the world. They're coming back. You know, we lost about 54% of automobile manufacturing over a 30-year period, 35-year period. They're all coming back. I think they're coming back higher than ever before. We have AI going up. What we've done is amazing, and what we've passed is amazing. But the Democrats, I don't believe, will get one vote. It's very anti-crime. We want anti-crime. They're in favor of crime. We're against crime. You know, they gave us things like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, transgender for everybody. I mean, they wanted transgender for all of the crazy things that they were saying. And, you know, people would say they're 80-20 issues. I say they were 97-3. I always say 97-3, and nobody knows who the three are. This is the best issue of all. They are against preventing crime. They are fighting us. I want to go into Chicago, and I have this incompetent governor that doesn't want us. Do you know that this weekend 72 people were shot in Chicago? I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed. 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your number one place. I hate to say it.
Yeah, local polls in Chicago.
And we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed, and 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, they lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. And now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open. They're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see, restaurants were dying. Nobody wanted to go out. They didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be mugged. They didn't want to be attacked even in the restaurant. And you take a look at what's happened. Friends of mine that haven't gone to a restaurant in 4 years, one of them went out 5 times in the last 2 weeks to a restaurant with his family. They feel totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago, or do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us to go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known. They have incompetent people. A guy like Gavin
Maybe
Newsom,
some, but not all.
He's the governor of a state.
Polarizing
If we
issue.
didn't go in, if we didn't go into Los Angeles with our soldiers, with our National Guard, you wouldn't even be having the Olympics there. They were going to take it. And remember this, your top law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said, there's no way we could have done this without President Trump coming in with the troops. We saved Los Angeles and we saved the Olympics. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Mr. President, the crime is down 87%. No, it's not. It's down 100%. Why? Well, it's 87. No, 100%. I said so.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Did you see the video of the drug boat that was literally blown out of the water yesterday? I'll run it again. Just to put it into perspective. Okay? Keep it. The US Navy has amassed what? A bunch of vessels. I'm not sure exactly. Let me see if I can find out what have they brought to bear down there. So here's a full list of the U.S. Navy ships that Trump has sent to the Caribbean. I'm just looking it up here. So here we go. Here, I'll show you. I'll bring this down for a moment. So this is what's going on down there. The U.S. Navy they've deployed at least 8 warships and 1 submarine. The USS Gravely, the USS Jason Dunham, the USS Sampson, the USS Iwo Jima, the USS San Antonio, the USS Fort Lauderdale, the USS Lake Erie, the USS Minneapolis St. Paul, the USS Newport News. They've got destroyers, the Iwo Jima, a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship. They have more than 2,500 U.S. Marines, and the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit are embarked on the 3 ships as a rapid response force, alongside over 1,000 Navy sailors. Holy smokes. Iwo Jima carrying MV-22B Osprey, tilt rotor transport craft, and an AV-8B Harrier II fighters aircraft en route to the Caribbean. In this picture, the San Antonio and Fort Lauderdale both can launch hovercraft for amphibious operations. The Lake Erie Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser provides long-range missile coverage with its Tomahawk loadout, as well as offering the task force additional command capabilities. The Minneapolis St. Paul is a Freedom-class littoral combat ship that conducts patrols and interdiction operations in coastal areas. It can fire the RIM-116 Ram missile for air defense missions. They have the submarine there, too. The Newport News, a Los Angeles-class nuclear-powered fast attack submarine, is one of the Navy boats that they've sent there. It's additionally equipped with advanced sonar to support surveillance, as well as Harpoon anti-ship missiles and Mark 48 torpedoes for potential interdiction of surface ships. And then they have Air and Coast Guard assets to extend the reach of naval forces with continuous surveillance, reconnaissance, strike capability. The Navy's P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft, which is designed for anti-submarine warfare and presently deployed to San Juan Airport in Puerto Rico. They're conducting long-range patrols in the area. So they've got the, I don't know, just a little bit of firepower down there. And this is what they did. And then they got these guys in this canoe looking very much like this. I was thinking at first this might be the Canadian Navy, but the pointy end on the front suggests, no, this is Caribbean in origin. And I shouldn't laugh again, but it just seems to me like it's just like way over the top. It's just like incredible overkill because, well, just look at what they did. 11 people killed here. And it's not funny. And I don't have much sympathy for these guys at all because they're, I guess, drug dealers with cocaine. But you need all those warships to do this? Watch. Okay. No due process for them. Oh my God. Ugh. So, as the reporter said, what's your goal down there? What's the objective? Why didn't you just take them into custody? Why didn't you just, pull up alongside with your destroyer, one of your warships, and say, "Hey, you ought not be doing that." No, they just nuked them. Okay. Is that justice? Maybe. You can decide. It's international waters. I don't think that they have constitutional rights at that point, as you can clearly see. So there's that. I don't know what to make of that. I still don't know what to make, really, of what they're doing down there, other than, holy smokes, like, what the hell? As I've said, I'm just reserving judgment. I'm skeptical about a lot of the claims as well. I have no doubt the drugs come out of there, but Trump doesn't like Maduro, communist, and he's got a hate on for the guy, as you can clearly see. $50 million bounty on Maduro's head as they bring all those warships to bear down there. A lot of oil in Venezuela. Just saying. Where else are they kind of targeting that has some oil, where they seem to be taking real interest of late? A little further north, kind of to the west of where I sit tonight. I don't know, the Trump administration, Maggie, even when he was out of office, strangely taking real interest in that place. The name escapes me. Might start with an A. Yeah, I can't quite place it. Jean Charest, liberal / conservative. He's liberal. Former premier of Quebec, saying, sometime in the future, Canuckistanians will all be thanking Donald Trump in the years ahead. Here's what he says. This is the CTV headline. Charest saying that eventually Canada will thank U.S. President Donald Trump for providing the country with a much-needed economic shakeup. He was premier between 2003 and 2012 in Quebec, and he told business leaders in Quebec City that Trump is pulling Canada out of its lethargy and forcing its leaders to rethink the economy. There is some truth to that. Charest is now a member of Prime Minister Mark Carney's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. Yeah, I believe that Carney has been consulting with learned people and politically experienced people from all political stripes in the Canadian ecosystem, even former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. And I have to take my hat off to him for doing that. You know, getting advice, trying to find out what would be the best course of action. And Harper did comment on it, and Harper, conservative, I think he gave Carney some pretty good advice. But the ex-premier, Shroyer, Quebec, adds that Canada needs to reduce its dependence on the United States and expand into new markets. Yeah, Shroyer suggested the country under Carney's leadership will accelerate big projects, rethink federalism, and redefine the country's role in the world. We seem to be on route for something like that. Unless you listen to Pierre Poilievre. In which case, it's kind of like, it's just, I'm sorry. It's just, Rick, I want Poilievre to win. Don't criticize him. It's just, he's the politician of doom. Everything is bad. It couldn't be worse. Canada is about to self-destruct. It's already self-destructed. It's worse than that. Whatever. It's never as bad or as good as they say. Kash Patel, FBI director, announcing indictments in an international drug conspiracy. This coming out of, where was this? So this is a fentanyl issue again, focusing on Chinese companies. And I've got the clip loaded up here. Let me get them up on the screen for you. This was more of a local news conference, but given the level of interest on drugs, Venezuela, Canada, the alleged fentanyl crisis on the Canada-U.S. border, blah, blah, blah. And now here he is. I need to make sure I get the location on this right, because I just picked up on this before we came in. To the broadcast tonight. Yeah, so grand jury indicts 3 U.S. citizens, 22 Chinese. Justice Department announcing it in Dayton, Ohio. Let's go to the clip. Dayton, Ohio, Kash Patel, FBI, indictments, international drug conspiracy.
It's great to be in Ohio on one of the FBI's primary initiatives since I became the director. Ohio, like the rest of the country, has suffered from a drug epidemic, and it's taken too many of the lives of our children and our youth and our communities. And this operation, Operation Box Cutter, would not have been possible without the interagency efforts of both the DEA, the United States Attorney's Office, and of course our FBI field office here in Cincinnati, and our state and local partners. And we wanted to take time to highlight why this is such an important takedown. It is the first of its kind in terms of how we actually get after the threat that is Chinese precursors, which are used to make fentanyl, which is used to kill tens of thousands of Americans a year. We're done playing whack-a-mole. The brilliant case team here and the prosecutors here and the local and state authorities here created a program whereby if you want to end the pandemic of fentanyl and cocaine and meth, you have to go after where it's made, how it's made, and what goes into making it.
If you are sleeping in a position like this,
hang on a second
you are
here.
wrecking your body.
Back to Kash Patel.
Here, our case team was able to figure out the companies in mainland China that produce the fentanyl the locals here in Ohio and across America, along with the banking institutions and the flow of money, and to shutter them with this indictment in one fell swoop. It is years of work targeting a enterprise that the American public just doesn't have too much understanding of. And the purpose of this indictment and unsealing it and bringing it forward to you is to show you the large-scale effort it will take, and that this operation is leading the charge, and the FBI is leading this mission across the country. It is not just happening here in Ohio. It's happening in dozens of districts around the country and all across the world. And I'll let the folks behind me get into the details of it, but I just want to leave you with a couple of statistics. We didn't just arrest a couple of people. We charged an enterprise-wide system in mainland China to include dozens of individuals and banks and companies that are responsible for making these lethal precursors and shipping them here. And you should ask yourself this: what other country in the world has a fentanyl crisis? None. Just us. That's not by accident. And then you should ask yourself, what about the volume and quantity of what was apprehended in just this operation alone? It was something like 139 kilograms of fentanyl powder. That's enough lethal doses for 70 million Americans. To put that in perspective, the state of Ohio has a population of 12 million people approximately. That's 5x Ohio. They also seized over 525 grams worth of powder that can be used to make fentanyl pills. That's enough to kill another 270,000 Americans. This stuff is lethal. It is for too long, there has not been attacked. And that's why the priority at the FBI is national security and violent crime. And this case demonstrates the intersection of those two top mission sets that the FBI has. And we're proud to stand here in Ohio today in the first of its kind effort to lead this takedown, to lead this initiative. And we're relying on you and the media to read these indictments and look at the complexities in which the CCP mainland operations will go through to import these substances to the Mexican drug cartels and put them onto our streets here through local operatives. And unless you unwind that web, and unless you track down every single person and business and entity and flow of money involved in it, you will never break the wheel. We are here today to break the wheel of fentanyl trafficking in the United States of America, and I couldn't be prouder to be here in Ohio to announce this initiative and this wonderful takedown. And again, thanks to our partners here on the ground, the SAC, the United States Attorney, DEA, state and local law enforcement. It's a true honor to be here, and I'll let them give you guys the details. Thank you.
I'm going to stay with it for just a moment. These are the guys who did the real work, I guess.
Good morning. My name's Dominic Drace. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Ohio. I'm honored today to be standing here with Director Patel, with Special Agent in Charge Ayatrola from the FBI, and with Acting Special Agent in Charge Lawton from the DEA. To announce today a drug and money laundering conspiracy against chemical companies and individuals located in China and their co-conspirators here in the United States, particularly here in the Southern District of Ohio. This indictment sends a clear message. We will target fentanyl trafficking at every stage, in every part of the world, and we will hold accountable any individuals or entities that are involved in the distribution of this deadly substance. My job as the United States Attorney is to protect the citizens of the Southern District of Ohio. Synthetic opioids that originate from or are enhanced by so-called pharmaceutical companies in China continue to make their way onto the streets of our communities, and they continue to poison our citizens. That's a threat to public safety. It's a threat to our national security, and it won't be tolerated. Our 5-count indictment charges 3 individuals in the United States, including 2 from Tip City, Ohio, 22 Chinese nationals, and 4 Chinese companies with whom those Chinese nationals are affiliated. And I want to remind everybody that an indictment is a charging document that contains allegations. The defendants charged in this indictment are deemed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The indictment alleges that from at least January 2022 until the present, Eric Michael Payne of Tip City, Ohio, served as the main supplier of illicit cutting agents to fentanyl traffickers operating in the Southern District of Ohio. Payne allegedly purchased several kilogram shipments of these illegal cutting agents from the Chinese company defendants, who claim to be legitimate online pharmaceutical and chemical companies. In reality, as alleged in the indictment, with the help of the 22 individually named Chinese nationals, these companies knowingly marketed and exported illegal cutting agents to U.S. customers like Payne, knowing that those substances would be used to increase the yield of fentanyl that would be eventually distributed on the streets of our communities. Now, why do these agents matter? These cutting agents matter. As outlined in the indictment, drug traffickers use cutting agents to increase the yield of drugs that the drug trafficker can sell and make more profit. Generally, traditional cutting agents are used to increase the volume, but because they're inert, substances like baby powder or creatine, they lead to a less potent product and customer complaints. Here, the conspiracy involved the importation of cutting agents that increase the yield of the fentanyl, but that also maintain the potency of the mixture. As alleged in the indictment, these cutting agents, protonidazine, metanidazine, medetomidine, and xylaxine, could effectively transform 1 kilogram of fentanyl into dozens of kilograms of fentanyl mixture with the same potency. So that leads to more deadly drugs on the street and bigger profits for drug traffickers. Now, these Chinese companies involved in the alleged conspiracy receive payment for the cutting agents through cryptocurrency transactions, but also through the use of traditional financial institutions. Payne's significant other, Orion Rayford, and another U.S.-based individual named Ciandria Davis are alleged to have assisted Payne in transferring cryptocurrency to the Chinese companies through the Chinese nationals named in the indictment. Rayford also allegedly allowed narcotics to be sold, or stored rather, at her residence in Tip City as part of the conspiracy. All of the defendants in this indictment are charged with conspiring to distribute and to possess with intent to distribute 400 grams or more of a mixture or substance containing a detectable amount of fentanyl. That charge carries a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, up to a maximum of life imprisonment. All of the individuals and companies charged in the indictment are also charged with conspiring to launder money internationally, which can result in a sentence of up to 20 years of imprisonment. So it's my hope that these penalties send a message to drug traffickers here in the Southern District of Ohio, and also to those who are willing to assist them from abroad. We know that opioids, and in particular synthetic opioids, have contributed and continue to contribute to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans, many of whom resided right here in the Southern District of Ohio, which has been the epicenter of the opioid epidemic for a decade.
Okay. Here we go. Going back.
Who openly market and export dangerous substances to our communities will be held accountable for their actions. This indictment shows our resolve to continue the fight to rid our communities of these deadly substances and to hold those responsible to justice. Thank you. I'll now turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Itrola.
Okay, enough. You know what's going on. So I do have the actual release from the Department of Justice right there. Grand jury indicts 3 U.S. citizens, 22 Chinese nationals, 4 Chinese pharmaceutical companies in international drug trafficking and money laundering conspiracies. And there you have it. Scroll down. These are the it says all the defendants are charged with conspiring with intent to distribute 400 grams or more of fentanyl mixture and conspiring to launder money internationally. Payne says is also charged with possessing with intent to distribute 400 grams or more of fentanyl mixture and tampering with evidence. Rayford is charged with maintaining a drug-involved premises. And the Chinese companies and nationals charged include Guangzhou Tangwei Chemical Company, Guangzhou Wanjiang Biotechnology Company, Hebel Hongjun New Material Technology Company, all of these here. Yan Yang. I don't know any of these people or these companies. Not friends of mine. Concurrent with the charges brought against this network, the U.S. Department of the Treasury today has imposed sanctions on one of these Chinese companies, Guangzhou Tangwei, and two of its representatives, Zanpeng Huang and Xiaozhen Huang, targeting them pursuant to Treasury's counter-narcotics authorities. Deputy Criminal Chief Brent G. Tabachi and Assistant U.S. Attorney Elizabeth McCormick are representing the United States in the case. And so again, it all has to be proven in court. Seems substantial. We're talking how much? 400 grams? Yeah. Anyway, seems like Payne's significant other, Orion Tresan Rayford, 24, also of Tip City, Ohio, and Cyandria Bryn Davis, 39, of Atlanta, allegedly assisted Payne in transferring more than $60,000 in cryptocurrency to Chinese foreign nationals associated with the Chinese company since 2022. So news conference, 60 grand, $60,000. So is that the extent of this? This is, yeah. So that's the street value since over the past 3 years. 400 grams or more of fentanyl. Hard for me to get a bead on the scale of this thing, but that's a dollar figure quoted right there in the Department of Justice release of 60 grand in cryptocurrency. Maybe there's more. But in any event, you want to see the, oh, I have something here I need to show you. You know what? Let me take a little break. I'm going to cue this stuff up. This is the stuff I said that you're going to want to wait for at the end of the broadcast. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I was gonna pivot to the final story, but I'm not yet. I wanna rewind, zip, go back there, because I wanna just revisit for a moment the booster juice thing, because Polyev referenced that, and Michelle Rempel Garner, conservative MP, also at that news conference today, she said that they were out in Alberta and Booster Juice is offering like $36.50 an hour to hire a foreign temporary worker. So I just thought I want to go to her social media feed and see what it is this is all about. That seems like an awful lot of money to work at Booster Juice. So here she is. It says day 8 of posting Job Watch Canada data. And a Booster Juice in Calgary wants to fill a job with a temporary foreign worker for $36.50 an hour. And Lena Metlegdiab, I don't know who that is. That's MP Halifax West Minister of Immigration. Okay. Lena Metlegdiab. I wasn't aware of Lena. Okay. But she is the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship now. Yeah, I guess under the new government. And is going to let them. She says, follow for daily updates. So this is a graphic. I don't know if it's actually from the actual work, the job posting, but it's Alberta Youth Employment. Yeah, this is just a graphic they made up. A Booster Juice in Calgary is hiring a temporary foreign worker for $36.50. That's not the job posting. So I don't know where the job posting was. And then somebody down here is saying, so the $36 an hour thing is the threshold for the high wage stream. Remember, I told you there are different streams that these temporary foreign workers are allowed to come into the country for. And that includes a path to permanent resident status and a 3-year employment position, while the low wage stream is 1 year max with no PR path. Am I correct? Is that why we're seeing that wage so frequently? Alberta and Ontario have the $36 per hour cutoff this year. I don't know. I just don't know. I kind of wonder, is like, it just says they want to hire a temporary foreign worker for $36.50, but what's the job? Like, is that a job just working behind the counter at Booster Juice? Or maybe that's a job, I don't know. Maybe it's a highly skilled job within the head office at the company, or doing marketing work or something else. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find out anything more about this. I'm going to find another posting here. Like, I guess it's true, but what was the job? Like, this program has been around since the early 1970s. It's gone through, a bunch of changes. And then when Harper was prime minister, he reformed the program. He made it mandatory. The businesses hoping to hire temporary foreign workers need to prove that they were unable to hire a Canadian citizen or permanent resident for the job. And I believe those requirements remain in place today, even under the Carney administration. So, the Booster Juice thing, look, what's the job? They didn't really tell us in the news conference at all. I'm going to just do a search over. Does anybody know? If you know what the job was, for sure, and like for sure, not like speculating, put it in the chat on the Rumble channel and I'll take a look in there. Let me just do an inquiry over here. $36 now. That's pretty good. That's a very good wage. So what was the job? I don't know. See if I can find out here. Yeah, they don't tell you. I can't find any information here about what the actual job would be. So I did do this because I was also trying to find it. So I went to Indeed. And that's why I thought we'd just do a little Indeed scroll. So let's do that. I just pulled that up. And here are the listings for Booster Juice. How much does Booster Juice pay? Maybe we'll find the listing here, maybe not. Booster Juice jobs and careers. This is in Hamilton, $17.20 for a full-time job. A smoothie maker, $15 an hour in Regina. Kamloops, $17.85 for a smoothie maker. Boy, I'll tell you, if I went in asking for a job as a smoothie maker and I saw 2 posts like that, I'd demand the $17.85 because I could make one mean smoothie. And Hamilton, $17.20 for a crew member. Chilliwack, BC, $17.85. Booster Juice Warman, $15 to $16 an hour. In London, Ontario, $17.20. Sudbury, $17.20 to $17.75. Sudbury, $17.20 to $18. Nepean, $17.20. Crew member, $18 to $21 in Hope, BC. Wages seem to be a little higher out there. $16.10. And those are the jobs that I see posted across Canada on Indeed tonight for Booster Juice. So I don't know where Michelle Rempel Garner came up with that job posting in the $36 per hour position. But I have to wonder what the job actually is. Somehow, maybe it's some sort of a scam. I don't know. But they didn't tell us. But remember I said earlier that they take those stats, those numbers, those figures, those dollar figures, and they find a way to make it sound as bad as they possibly can. Politicians. Okay, so we're all doomed. Oh, I didn't even get to Zelensky. I've got so much news here tonight. Did you know that Zelensky went to Denmark? Well, he did. He did indeed. And he got a very warm welcome. Much warmer than he gets when he goes to the White House. Here, I'll show you. Let's just go to take in a little of this tonight. And with all of the theatrics and political theater we got in Alaska and then in the White House with Trump and Putin and then the European leaders coming to Washington with Zelensky. And now today, as Zelensky goes to Denmark and, like really nothing has happened, at least not yet, of any substance. Oh, except Russia has scaled up the attacks on Ukraine. That has happened. And Ukraine has unveiled new weapons. So no peace on the horizon at this point.
The bloody war in Ukraine. And therefore, I have to be very clear. I don't think Putin can be trusted. He could stop the war today if he wanted to. Instead, he continues his brutal war, supported by Iran, Belarus, North Korea, enabled by China.
Canada Life makes it
Hang on. But he's
seeing in these days. And I think they are all testing our resolve. They are testing our European and transatlantic unity. But we will not give in. And therefore, today, we, the Nordic and Baltic countries, are standing side by side with you. Volodymyr is sending a very clear message. We are, of course, willing to defend our continent. We are ready to continuing our steadfast support for Ukraine. It means more weapons, more ammunition, and more sanctions on Russia. We are ready to pave the way for Ukrainian EU membership, and we are determined to rearm Europe. Of course, we want peace, but the peace needs to be lasting. It needs to be just. No one but the Ukrainians are to decide the future of Ukraine. And that is why we need credible security guarantees for Ukraine. We are committed to work on such guarantees together with the United States and other partners. We will discuss this further with partners in Paris tomorrow. It will be natural for Denmark as a country to contribute to a European-led military effort in Ukraine under the right conditions. And then finally, I just wanted to say that all these discussions we have now, it's not just about Ukraine. It is about the future of Europe. And as Europeans, we cannot be naive. Trusting that if only Russia gets a piece of Ukraine, then Europe will be safe again. Putin wants much more. And I'm asking everybody to make no mistake about that. I don't think Putin will stop this war until he is forced to do it. And therefore, we have to be able to increase the pressure on Russia. We have to give Ukraine all the support that you need. And we have to rearm and to make Europe as a continent stronger. And with these words, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam. Dear Madam, dear journalists, first of all, I'm grateful to all of you for your support. Thank you, Meta, and thank you for invitation and organizing such very important meeting with all the leaders, Nordic, Baltic, President of Finland, President of Lithuania, Prime Minister of Sweden, Prime Minister of Latvia, Prime Minister of Estonia, Prime Minister of Iceland. Thanks for today's meeting. Our format of Ukraine with the Nordic and Baltic states really works, and works in a way that also helps others set their priorities. Last night, Russia launched another massive strike nearly 500 drones and more than 20 missiles, including ballistic, mostly ballistic, by the way, this night. And these are not now regular strikes, several times a week, and a clear signal that Russia rejects any attempt to end the war and wants to keep fighting. We have to assume this is the main Russia's scenario now. And so with today's meeting, we started a more concrete talk with all our partners on two things: defense now, while Russia's war continues, and our defense in future. The security guarantees we need since Russia stays on its course. As for our defense right now, I'm very thankful to to Prime Minister of Denmark, and to all the people for its clear leadership in funding our weapons production. This is already a historic contribution. Today we discuss how to continue this work in Ukraine by investing in our production, and in the Nordic and Baltic countries by boosting your defense capabilities. The first example is already in Denmark. A new plant for missiles and drones is being built there. Thanks, Meta, for your support. And we agreed that Latvia, Lithuania partners and others will follow the same way and will build with Ukraine. We also discussed the Pearl program. In August, we filled the Pearl program for American weapon, and it already has over $2 billion. The goal is to add around $1 billion each month. I thank Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Latvia and Iceland, who are already in this program, and other partners. I also urged other partners from the Nordics and the Baltics to join this program. Adds not only to our defense with crucial things like missiles for Patriots and HIMARS, but also to our relations with the United States. We also talked about boosting Ukraine's air defense. This directly saves our lives. Together with Nordics and Baltics, we need to provide additional Patriot systems for Ukraine. This is critical, especially before winter. Russia keeps hitting our energy sector, hitting every day, and we need enough capabilities to protect ourselves. Putin hopes winter will kill our people where his troops cannot reach, and we cannot let them happen. Air defense is absolutely strategic. We also coordinated our positions on new sanctions against Russia, as Meta said, and on work with other partners, especially America. We must all speak to all the partners, EU partners, Americans, with one voice for our shared interests. And now about the security guarantees. We are already working both within the coalition of the willings and bilaterally with partners on concrete security guarantees. We also have a solid basis in the form of bilateral agreements, including one with Denmark, and we share the view that Ukraine's future security needs Article 5, now it sounds like guarantees. Today we discussed this and with the possible contributions and of each country, and now we'll fill it with specifics: who does what on land, in the air, at sea, and in cyberspace. Our army is the core of this system, strong and large enough to resist Russia. This means weapons and financing, and we are working on it. We also have signals from the United States that it will provide a backstop, and this is important. And we also discussed the important role the EU membership will play in the holistic system of the security guarantees in the light of the current presidency of Denmark in the EU. And we are working together to open the clusters. It's not simple, you know why, but to open the clusters by EU 27. But the main task now is to force Russia to stop the killings and the war. Pressure is the key. Right now, Putin thinks he can get through the difficulties, but we know how to change this. The Russian economy is already in a bad shape, with fuel shortages especially telling. Many Russian industries are in the decline, and also telling are the labor shortages and Putin's constant humiliations before China as it tries to sell them as much raw material as possible. All this speaks for itself. Sanctions are really working, and we must keep pressuring Russia with sanctions and with tariffs until it understands that this war will end. And we will work on this with other European leaders, with the G7 and G20, and of course with the US. Peace can only be a joint achievement. I'm sure it will come. Thank you, Meta, again for invitation.
Okay. So we can leave that there for now. Bottom line, war is continuing. It looks to me like it's far from over. I hope I'm wrong. You know where else there's a war? An info war? Over at Infowars. There's a war at Infowars between Alex Jones and Owen Shroyer. I guess they had a falling out, and it's turned into a spectacle online. It's making headlines. It's actually getting even mainstream media attention, this feud between the two of them now. And all I can say is Alex Jones and Owen Shroyer are not letting this crisis go to waste.
You are a snake. You are a rat. You are a fraud. You are a backstabber. You are a handbiter. You are a disgrace. You are a snake.
You just, I guess Alex Jones has been saying that Owen Shroyer is too anti-Trump, has become too anti-Trump. So it's turned into friction. And yeah, let's get Shroyer up first. Okay. And there were reports that he got fired, but actually it looks like he quit. Here's the young lad who actually went to jail for Infowars at one point. The J6 thing.
You probably noticed that I had not been hosting the War Room a lot this month. And, you know, Alex had been coming into my show and talking about how I'm negative and calling me a pessimist and all this other stuff, which is fine. You work for Alex, you're going to get hit with it a lot. Alex is not easy to work for, and that's fine. You know, that's okay. But, okay, he says I'm too negative. He says I'm a pessimist, whatever. I'm too anti-Trump. So I just said, all right, you know what? I'll just take some time off. I'll just disappear. And if Alex thinks I'm too negative, then maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm too negative now. Maybe I'm too much of a pessimist now. Maybe I'm too anti-Trump now. Whatever his issue was when he kept coming in the show, telling me I'm too negative, saying I'm a pessimist on his show, you probably noticed.
Actually, I hadn't noticed you weren't hosting the War Room a lot because I don't really watch you guys anymore. It's not that you're too negative. It's just that you're too weird. Too much weirdness. Anyway, it's just boiling over. And like I have to wonder how much of this is real and how much of it is like World Wrestling Federation style social media.
No, it's all right. You don't have to come in. I hung up, started fucking crying, and then he goes on fucking air and lies about me. Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. I won't fucking take people stabbing me in the back anymore. Fuck you. Get right. No, it's all right. You don't have to.
It's okay. He's going to be fine. I think he has his blood pressure medication, and it's going to be okay. It'll be all right. I can't. Maybe I shouldn't be laughing, but I am. At this, I'm laughing. There's so much drama around Infowars, Alex Jones, the big lawsuit where they were being shut down and the cops were coming in. And is he off the air? No. I really need to wonder. I have to wonder about the whole operation. And if the government really wanted it shut down, don't you think they'd shut it down? There's something very odd about the whole thing. There's something very odd about Infowars in general. It's weird. And it doesn't seem to matter what is thrown at Alex Jones. He always survives, just like Trump. The older I get, the more I get into this, the more it seems like none of this is real. And maybe we are just watching a movie. Well, certainly social media is something of a movie, isn't it? It's entertaining. It's entertaining, and it gets right into your head. It's kind of like bad drugs. Yeah, maybe some of that, those illicit narcotics that found their way into, I don't know, the chemtrails or something. and we're just sucking them all up through our nostrils, and they're invading our cerebral cortex. You know where else they are in the middle of a drug-fueled protest party thing? The Universal Ostrich Farm, where they are, I guess, worried about the CFIA coming in now to cull those ostriches because they lost in court, and they want to appeal to the Supreme Court, but they want all hands on deck out there. Here's the big party out at Universal Ostrich Farms. Holy smokes, look at all of them. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the ostrich farm. That's Burning Man. Same thing. Same thing. Kinda. Or maybe it's the Freedom Convoy. I'm not sure. Are there bouncy castles and hot tubs there? No doubt there are at Burning Man, which is ongoing. I also have to say that they had a death at the controversial Burning Man festival. This guy here. So they've identified the dead man now, found in a pool of blood, as a Russian national, 37 years old, Vadim Kruglov. He was found in this pool of blood, as they say, right as the festival's, what do they call it? The eponymous effigy was burned to the ground. And the Washoe Medical Examiner's Office identified Kruglov by his fingerprints. So they're looking into it. The people who organize the festival say they're, cooperating with investigators. This guy was reported missing. Now they've identified him as the victim. He visited the U.S. from the Siberian city of Omsk, arrived at Burning Man in Pershing County, Nevada, August 24th. That according to an Instagram post from his friend who reported him missing. And then they didn't have contact after that. And his tent and belongings were left at camp, but he never returned. So let's see here. Got some images. Do I have the Burning Man Festival? Yeah, there's the man being burned. Let me show you. Not him. I've got the image there of the big burn. Right there. Yep. A lot of sad people out there, though. They've had some real tragedies. Some things have got them very upset. Well, it's a big party, and a lot of people are partying down, having a good time at this festival that some say is actually demonic. A lot of Christians don't like it. It's very hedonistic, that's for sure. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, although maybe rock and roll itself is a little outdated. I think that you saw, maybe more current, in vogue forms of music being played there. It's got a good beat and you can dance to it. I don't know about the lyrics so much. Go back here. And yeah, so here's Sarah Sansoni, who, not a big fan of Burning Man, I guess. Sarah says that Burning Man is indeed demonic.
You are not going to tell me that Burning Man is not demonic. But you've never been there. You have no idea. You don't even know what you're talking about. That's exactly what I expected you to say, because you're all high. You're all high on worldly things. You just got overstimulated by pleasures of the world. So I don't expect you to say anything different. Just look at, so there was a man that was found in a pool of his own blood when they were burning the eulogy, whatever it is. I don't even care. I don't need to know. They burned the thing. And he was found there, and someone else did that to him. And apparently there's a lot of things that go down at Burning Man, and some, they try to actually hide it from the police. I just watched body cam footage of 2 victims that were assaulted, and the crisis team of Burning Man were trying to convince them not to report it to the authorities. That's right, all these liberal, we're all about love and unity and feminism. That's right. They were convincing these victims, survivors, they called them, to not talk to police. Actually, one of them almost got taken into custody for obstructing the police from doing their investigation. Not only that, look at all of the things that are spread in the dome. And look, we're all adults. You do what you will. But in my opinion, anything that you spend that amount of time, that amount of money on, and you walk away being like, hypnotized almost, like that was the best experience, and you go like 10 years in a row or every year, that ain't a godly thing. The only thing you should be walking away feeling like that from is church and the Bible. And I don't even on there.
Yeah, she says I'll just get around that thing at the end. I missed your last comment.
And I don't even know how it's still legal, because we all know what's going on there.
Yeah, we do actually. And I sometimes wish I didn't. Yeah, they got flooded out there last year. And just go back to this. They've got a Twitter feed here. So let me just show you. This was last year, and they did a lot of damage to the surface of the, I guess it's on the salt flats, right? And then, but this is what they're really upset about. Yeah. The Orgy Dome was destroyed. Yeah. The Orgy Dome, the infamous Orgy Dome, a sex-positive space at the Burning Man Festival, destroyed by high winds. What a tragedy. Jesus. I have to say, the United States, some people say it's a Christian nation. I'd say it's a nation of contradictions. What are we talking about here tonight? Outrage over the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandals. Because the rich people had a big sex club, blah, blah, blah. And yet I go online, I scroll through. You can even go on Twitter and you can find, like, they have adult content on Twitter, social media platform. Or head on out to Burning Man and take in the Orgy Dome after you partake in your illicit drugs, which Kash Patel is cracking down on, and for which 11 people lost their lives trying to smuggle it into the United States. There's the demand, there's the supply, and there's the contradiction. What a weird place. What weird times. I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side with more entertainment. And with that, I leave you with tonight, I don't know, something entertaining, something straight out of Hollywood, something futuristic, retro-futuristic. Let's go back to the future with Maverick and the News Brothers and Magic 88.
Future's in sight, the DeLorean's ready, it's time to ignite. Stainless steel with the gull-wing doors, this machine's built to break all the laws. Flux capacitor lights the way when the speed hits 88. Through the years the world will know this time machine's the star of the show. Magic 88, we're flying through time in a DeLorean, feeling so fine. With Mr. Fusion we're set to soar, past, present, future, forevermore. Magic 88, hold on tight, in the DeLorean we light up the night. Hit the gas, the roads are blur, in the blink of an eye it's all astir. Lightning bolts power up the ride, with Mr. Fusion charged up inside. Fueling the future with scraps in hand, turning trash into power, that's the plan. From Hill Valley to the stars above, the DeLorean's ride is the one we love. Magic 88, we're flying through time in a DeLorean, feeling so fine. With Mr. Fusion we're set to soar, past, present, future, forevermore. Magic 88, hold on tight, in the DeLorean we light up the night. Great Scott, we're on the move in that DeLorean, we found the groove. From Pat's Swallowed Bride to Marty's Scream, this car's the heart of the dream. Movie magic shining bright, DeLorean's wings ready for flight. Through history it stole the show, now forever it's the car we know. Magic 88, we're flying through time in a DeLorean, feeling so fine. With Mr. Fusion we're set to soar, past, present, future, forevermore. Magic 88, hold on tight, in the DeLorean we light up the night. When you see those lights aglow and the tires blaze as the legends go. Remember the ride that made us believe, with Mr. Fusion's power we never leave. Magic 88, we're flying through time in a DeLorean, feeling so fine. With Mr. Fusion, we're set to soar, past, present, future, forevermore. Magic 88, hold on tight, in the DeLorean we light up the night. Great Scott, we're on the move. In that DeLorean we found the groove. From Doc's wild ride to Marty's scream, this car's the heart of the dream. We never leave.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.